Well, we have ourselves some extra info to go over with the Montreal Canadiens. Today we're diving into Ivan Demidov and discussing one of the most high-profile guys on the market that could, potentially, hypothetically, be a Montreal Canadien. Or we're going to ask if it's actually a good idea. We're going to read some stuff, we're going to read some articles, we're going to dive into the scoop. Let's talk about the big, somewhat surprising update that we have seen out of the Montreal Canadiens and one Ivan Demidov. As an article was published on TVA Sports 3 days ago, talking about how after a short vacation, Ivan Demidov is already back on the ice in Brassard. Oh boy, we got ourselves a gamer here, man. Take a look at this. After spending a few days in the Dominican Republic with his girlfriend following a very busy last season, the 19-year-old Ivan Demidov has recently returned to the city and was even spotted on the ice at the CN complex in Brassard with Adam Nicholas. At least, that's what could be seen in a video posted on Instagram by the account at RionDeStephanie4 on Monday. Linked is a video that was posted on the gram, and it is of Ivan Demidov on the ice, working on his shooting, working on his shot. There's a little rectangle on the ice with them. I don't know if that's a mirror, or if that's a TV, an iPad kind of thing. It could be a number of things, but there are definitely some things that Demidov is looking to learn in this mini one-on-one training session that he's got. The TVA Sports article writes this: in the footage, Demidov can be seen working on his wrist shot with the Habs director of hockey development, whose job is primarily to improve the individual skills of the team's players. Demidov joined the Habs late in the season after being unexpectedly released by his KHL club. He got off to a flying start, scoring a goal and an assist in his first NHL game against the Chicago Blackhawks. Oh yeah, you do not need to remind us about that. He also added 2 assists in 5 playoff games against the Capitals. The 6'1", 192-pound forward is considered a favorite to win the Calder Trophy as the league's top rookie for next season. By then, he should get this title in the KHL too, after an exceptional last season with SKA St. Petersburg, in which he had scored 49 points in 65 games, a record in the history of the KHL for a skater under 20. Now, I will say, just an extra little comment here, a quick aside. As we had talked about last time with Ivan Demidov, I honestly don't know if he has the KHL's Rookie of the Year award in the bag. And it's not because he wasn't good. He was fantastic. The problem is, the guy that he's going up against, the primary other challenger for the Rookie of the Year, just happened to be the best goalie in the KHL this year, with the best save percentage and the second best goals against average. It's Semyon Vyazovoy for Silayev Ufa. And some of the numbers are on the screen here. I mean, look, this goaltender does have maybe a relatively decent chance to make an impact with the voters, especially if any KHL people are salty that Ivan Demidov wanted to leave. That is going to play a part into it, just based off of how the Russian League and the KHL reacts to these kinds of things. The other guy, I don't even remember the other guy's name, that is nominated for the Rookie of the Year, but he is not as productive as Demidov, and he's not a goalie, so he's not as good as Vyazovoy here. Yeah, the article on TVA Sports says that Demidov is probably going to win the Rookie of the Year in the KHL, which would be fine, like that is definitely understandable, but he's going up against arguably the best goalie in the league, who happens to be a goalie, which is ridiculous. So, just saying there, folks, it is not surprising to me if Demidov does not win the Rookie of the Year. That's it. Next year, hopefully he does it with the NHL team, but in the KHL for SKA St. Petersburg, who knows? Now, with that out of the way, I wanted to go over into a conversation that was posted about on Montreal Hockey Now by Marc Dumont from 2 days ago. Take a look at this. Montreal Canadiens free agency. The John Tavares situation. The article is an interesting one. It'll be linked in the description. On Wednesday, it says, we discussed the possibility of offering Toronto Maple Leafs forward Mitch Marner a contract, and while the idea wasn't rejected outright, it was evident that most Habs fans are not interested in his services. Consequently, some fans pivoted, setting their sights on yet another Maple Leafs player, forward John Tavares. And it's interesting because I did see a number of people as well talking about this idea instead. Hey, the Habs should go out there and offer Johnny T a contract. The only problem with that is, based off of the tea leaves and based off of just kind of what we're hearing here and there for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the guys that are on the team, it seems to me that the likelihood of John Tavares re-signing in Toronto is a lot higher than Mitch Marner re-signing in Toronto. And don't get me wrong, I say a lot higher, but it's easy to be a lot higher than zero in Marner's case, right? So there is a fairly decent chance that Johnny T does stick around with the Maple Leafs and he does find a way to take a bit of a discount and remain on this team. If he does hit the free agent market, it's going to be because the Maple Leafs are going to go out there and make some bigger swings. They either want to keep a guy like Mitch Marner, or they want to make some big free agent swings, which we will talk about later in today's show, I think. But let's just say Tavares does not re-sign in Toronto, he becomes a free agent, and the Habs need a second-line center. Would this work? Well, let's go back over onto the article and read what Dumont has to say here. I honestly doubt Tavares is interested in playing in Montreal, a situation that has much more to do with his loyalty towards Toronto than his disdain for the Canadiens. He spent a significant portion of his career in Toronto, and he did mention that he would like to be back in the fold for next season. Of course, stranger things have happened, but I don't want to give anyone the impression that Tavares is in play. With that in mind, let's take a look at what the 34-year-old center could offer to the Canadiens should his outlook change in the next few weeks, especially since it doesn't seem like the Leafs can afford a contract extension. The article then dives into what Johnny T is capable of, which, look, we can just go over onto Elite Prospects and read some of the numbers for ourselves here. Tavares had a hell of a year. Huge bounce back, 74 points in 75 games played. This was after posting a 65-point campaign in 2023-2024. The guy just got back up to speed with a 38-goal season, which is absolutely crazy to put up at 34 years old. Who would have expected that out of John Tavares, man? It is kind of interesting just acknowledging even that he is in the last year of that contract, because it just seems like yesterday he ended up leaving the Islanders and signing with the Maple Leafs, but then you check your watch and it's like, oh wait, that was 7 years ago. But Johnny T had a really good run as the captain and inevitable alternate captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but if he does demand the contract that he probably can get, who knows if that's going to be in the range of what Toronto is able to pay. This guy could be a $9 million AAV caliber player next year. 11 is a little steep for what he is right now, and especially since he's older, but Johnny T getting a really big discount, that seems to be the only way the Maple Leafs are going to be able to keep him. This article in Montreal Hockey Now goes out there and talks about some of the other things that Tavares has done, how he is a very good hockey player, and how he managed to produce 41 points at 5v5 this season, his highest output since his first year in Toronto. Only Nick Suzuki, with 49, and Cole Caulfield at 47 points, outproduced him at 5v5. His 20 goals at 5v5 would also rank second in Montreal behind Caulfield, though we can't ignore that his shooting average was 16.53%, the highest efficiency since he joined the NHL. That's the epitome of a red flag. His individual stats also suffered with a significant downtick in individual expected goals, as well as individual high-danger chances. Now, the article does say that he could be a good leader for Montreal. If they're in a desperate need for leadership, Tavares would be one of the main dudes that could mitigate that. He also could be that second-line center that the Maple Leafs need. On that note, having a talented veteran alongside of Ivan Demidov in the second line would be a boon, even if said veteran has seen better days. Having Demidov play with a center that is best suited for third or fourth line would hamper his development. The article then says at the end here that the Habs probably would not be able to afford him stability because they may not be able to give him a longer-term deal. Now, with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the John Tavares idea. Realistic? Nah. But is it something we can talk about and discuss? Probably. Yay or nay? Johnny T in Montreal. Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.